I was in the shower earlier and I was sharing some of my insights. I was just thinking now that how did these gods, plural, become what they are? You know, when you read the scriptures, you read the Bible, you read some of the ancient texts from Sumer, you know, Mesopotamia, and you notice all the gods are all fighting each other, you know? And I was just thinking, why are they doing what they're doing? I was thinking about, you know, like nature is, what we see around us is a representation of larger things. You notice I was a nutrition major, and we learned that what happens in our body, that things can become radicalized. That means like it's a loss of electrons or something. It becomes a charged particle. And these charged particles, to become stable, need to get an electron from the nearest other, cell. And so then it takes an electron from its neighbor. Then that electron, that loss, becomes radicalized. And if it continues losing electrons, if this happens in your vascular system, you're going to develop vascular disease, and you're not going to be healthy. So with these gods, they became, because gods are these, as we learned earlier, that everything is made from energy. We're all energy, and some have more energy than others. But like the natural process of life, we lose electrons, and the slower we lose electrons, the more stable we become. And but in the natural process of life and death, we start to lose more than we gain, and it eventually leads to death. So I'm thinking these gods become radicalized and start to lose energy. So they need to take on energy or electrons from others. So that's where people come from, or other animals come from. They need that energy, to sustain themselves. Because we are all energy. It's just like we need energy to live. So that's why we have to eat plants, and sometimes we eat other animals. So I'm also thinking with these so-called gods that, there was a movie that I saw that came out, I think it came out in 1986 or 1987 or 1988. The name of the movie was called Angel Heart. It had Mickey O'Rourke and the girl that played on The Cosby Show. Denise, I think her name was, the character name. Lisa Bonet is her real name. And again, she did change it. Lily Coy, I think she legally changed her name into. But either way, in the movie, the character that's played by Mickey O'Rourke, he is visiting this town that he's from, and he seems to be searching for something. It's like being a detective, and he is trying to find out, like everywhere he goes, he encounters someone dies. And it's only at the end of the movie that you realize what's going on, and that he realizes what he's doing. He, I guess, has he has amnesia, and the part of him that is conscious is the one that's doing the murdering of these other people. And he discovers this at the end, and that he had actually made a pact with the devil. And time was up, and he was trying to cover his tracks to, correct, to try to cover up so he doesn't have to pay his debt to the devil. But either way, so where that movie comes in, that these gods may also be in a state of amnesia, and it is radicalized, and it is killing, and we're also in a state of amnesia. We're not as big as the gods in energy force, but we're smaller versions of them, but we have the same problem. We're walking around in amnesia, and we're searching, we're groping the walls and trying to find out, where did we come from? What happened? We lost focus of where we came from. We're a part of that big tree, the creator. But we became a little radicalized, and we got lost, and symbolically we ate of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil rather than the tree of life. And upon eating that fruit, we became radicalized, and we became separate from the tree. So we have to remember who we really are. We're part of the tree, and we became radicalized. And once we realize that, then we can try to take mental note of our behavior. Because when we become radicalized, we become we become irrational, wild, like I mentioned in my earlier audio tape of my two dogs, Lily and Lavin. And here I'm presenting both of them food, but they want to fight off of it. See, they don't know who they are. They don't know that I love them both, and that I'm going to give them both equally, according to their need, So we're radicalized. And again, the story of the Garden of Eden is, I think, just an attempt for the writer of that book to explain our human condition. It wasn't a physical tree of knowledge of good and evil, but it's just the aspect of life that once we are created or made, the natural process of everything is because of the life cycle has to include the loss of electrons, and then this electron becomes radicalized and needs to get grounded, so it takes an electron from its neighbor. And that's what's going on in life. We're all taken from each other. But once we realize we just need to get this energy, we can do things humanely and working cooperatively to acquire these electrons. But again, we're all part of the same tree. We have to work in unison with one another. And that's where the word love comes in. When people say that we need love, we need to cooperate with each other. We have to be on the same page. We have to work with one accord. And that is the key. We have to work at one accord so that we stop killing each other. Because we have knowledge, and knowledge can grow, and we all will benefit, but we have to work collectively. So again, the key is we have to love one another, because we are in a radicalized state, but we can overcome it through love. Love is about cooperation and considering your neighbor's needs as well as your own needs. Love does not exploit. let's stop acting radicalized and start acting with the larger tree, the tree of life, our true creator. Thank you so much for listening. You have two choices. Do you want to believe that you come from the creator, which represents the tree of life? Or do you want to believe in polarity? Polarities such as good and evil. If you partaken in that tree, the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you're going to believe that in your radicalized form, that life is about taking from someone else to live. But the reality is that life is always changing. You know, that life, it's always transforming. And in fact, our universe is expanding. So it's growing. And we are growing with it. But the illusion is when we live in the state of the knowledge of good and evil, that we become fear-based. And you notice that these gods, the Anunnaki, you know, all these religions, that the gods are always fighting each other. The gods are just larger, stronger energies than we are, because we are all energy. And we fight too. We have our squabbles, even sibling rivalry. We live in a state of fear, a fear-based mentality of polarities, good and evil, up, down, north, south. So that story in Genesis, in the Bible, is about either living a life of that we know where we come from, that we're not in any state of amnesia, that we walk in the knowledge. And when we are in the knowledge that we come from the Creator, that even in our state, because even if we know that we come from God, that we're born and we die, and things just keep changing and evolving, But there's no fear to it, because we understand the process. Life is a process. But when we partake in the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, we're not in the knowledge that we come from the Creator, and we become fearful, competitive. We want to wear the latest bling bling to outdo somebody else, to make you into something better, superior. The illusion of racism, sexism, we feed off of that fear. All those elements, racism, sexism, nationalism, is about someone saying that I am the superior or the better, and the other is worse. And what happens? The one that's better starts to exploit the one that is weaker. So it's like that analogy I gave regarding the radical, the free radical, and that it takes for it to become satiated or stabilized, it needs to take an electron or energy from the nearest cell or person. Okay, and it's a vicious cycle. So we get all these outfits, or we get these homes, and it's a form of fear. We don't need those big mansions. You just got two people, and you got like a mansion or something. It's all that fear-based, that you need more. You have to always acquire more, this hoarding mentality. This is all fear-based. It's nice to have nice things, but when it's like a fear, based on fear, and to show off to someone else, So that's what's going on. We walk around in a daze. We put on these outfits and clothes to say, I'm better than you. I'm going to try to make you feel intimidated. and that is also a form of taking someone's electron, and sapping them. You ever be around someone and they act like they're all that, and when you walk away from them, don't you feel depleted, like something's missing? Yeah, it's taking an electron from you because it was a radical, and it took your electron, your energy, and fed itself. So this is part of the illusion. We have to realize that we're part of the Creator. We're of the big tree, and we have to stop thinking in terms of the good and evil, because if we live on that premise, that's what's happening in the world around us, and even amongst the gods. They are not as enlightened as they think they are. If they were, they would say, we're part of the Creator, and that we have to just go with the flow. So this is just another food for thought, and to know that we are part of the big picture, and that we have to love one another. Take care, guys.